I would say don't just start filming me without asking me
Oh my goodness.
if you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please.
What's happening to Will Smith in 2026 is hard to watch for anyone who followed his remarkable career. The transformation from beloved entertainer to controversial figure has been swift and unforgiving, essentially reshaping Hollywood's relationship with one of its biggest stars. What really happened behind the scenes? Why does his comeback seem harder than anyone expected? And what are insiders quietly saying that fans are only just starting to notice? Trust me, you need to stay till the end of this video because the full story is way more shocking than people think. From beloved star to controversial figure. Back in the late 1980s, the version of Will Smith that everyone knew looked almost too perfect to be real. And that journey really started in 1989 when Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff won the very first Grammy Award ever given for Best Rap Performance with the song Parents Just Don't Understand. Think about that for a second. How many people can say that a career started by making history at the Grammys? That moment did not just make Will Smith popular in music. That moment made Will Smith stand out as something different. At a time when hip-hop was still trying to find respect in mainstream entertainment, Will Smith suddenly became proof that rap music could sit on the same stage as every other major genre. Many people at the time did not even believe hip-hop could last. So imagine what it felt like watching a young rapper win a Grammy and open a door that nobody was sure could even be opened. That early success already made Will Smith feel like someone special. But the real turning point came not long after, when television changed everything. In 1990, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air arrived, and that show did more than just make people laugh. That show turned Will Smith into a household name between 1990 and 1996. And the interesting part is how the show even happened in the first place. At the time, Will Smith was dealing with serious financial problems, and network executives decided to build an entire sitcom around Will Smith as a person. Just think about how risky that sounds. How often does a television network create a whole show just to help one person get back on track? That gamble ended up working better than anyone expected. Playing a funny and exaggerated version of himself, Will Smith became one of the most recognizable faces on television. And the performance even earned 2 Golden Globe nominations. That kind of recognition showed that the talent was not limited to music. Something bigger was happening. That show built the foundation for one of the most unusual career moves in entertainment history because moving from television to film is never easy. Many actors try it and fail. So the real question became this: could Will Smith actually become a movie star, or would success stop at television? The answer came quickly, and the answer came loudly. Music success kept growing at the same time the acting career started taking off. Over the years, Will Smith collected 4 Grammy Awards from 8 nominations, which already placed Will Smith in a rare group of performers. The solo album Big Willie Style sold around 6 million copies, and songs like Getting Jiggy With It and Miami played everywhere. Radio stations, clubs, parties, and television all seemed to have the same songs playing at the same time. That level of popularity alone could have been enough for most careers, but somehow that was only part of the story. The film career started growing even faster, and that is where things became almost unbelievable. Movie after movie started making huge money at the box office. Independence Day made about $817 million back in 1996, which was a massive number at the time. Men in Black crossed the 500 million mark. Hancock crossed the 500 million mark. Then Aladdin went past $1 billion worldwide. When numbers like that keep repeating, a different kind of question starts to come up. How does one person stay that successful for that long without slowing down? At one point, Will Smith reached a record that very few actors have ever touched. 8 movies in a row made more than $100 million in the United States alone. That kind of streak almost never happens, and it showed how strong the connection was between Will Smith and the audience. People trusted a Will Smith movie. People expected to be entertained. People expected to walk out of the theater smiling. On top of all that success, serious acting recognition also started to appear. Academy Award nominations came for Ali and The Pursuit of Happiness, which proved that the talent was not only about action movies and comedy. Then, in 2021, the biggest moment finally arrived when Will Smith won the Academy Award for Best Actor for King Richard. After more than 30 years in entertainment, that award looked like the perfect ending to a long journey. That moment should have been the point where everything felt complete. So what could possibly go wrong after reaching the top like that? That question is exactly why the fall felt so different compared to other celebrity scandals. For decades, Will Smith had one of the cleanest images in Hollywood. No major scandals, no long list of controversies, no reputation for bad behavior. Success in music, success on television, success in film, and at the same time a personality that always looked friendly, positive, and easy to like. That kind of image is rare in entertainment, especially over 30 years. Most stars run into trouble at some point, so seeing someone stay respected for that long made people believe that nothing could really damage that reputation. Then, the 2022 Oscars happened, and everything changed in seconds. That moment shocked people not only because of what happened, but because of who it involved. How could someone who spent 30 years building goodwill lose so much in one night? The situation felt even heavier because the incident happened at the exact moment of victory. Winning the Academy Award should have been the happiest moment of the entire career. But instead, the night became known for something else. After the incident, Will Smith resigned from the Academy and accepted a 10-year ban from Academy events. That kind of consequence made the situation feel serious in a way that normal celebrity drama never feels. Many celebrities have scandals and later make comebacks, but this situation carried a different weight. Watching someone spend 3 decades building trust, respect, and admiration, only to see all of that shaken during what should have been the greatest moment, left many people asking the same quiet question. How could a career that strong change direction so fast? And maybe the bigger question is even harder to answer. After reaching the top once, is it ever really possible to get back to that exact same place again? The same feeling, the same clarity, the same sense of control? That question lingered like a shadow over everything that followed. And as the consequences of that moment began to unfold, the town, the people, and even the investigators felt the effects ripple outward in ways no one could have predicted. Stick with me, because what comes next will reveal just how far-reaching the impact truly was. The incident and its ripple effects. The slap that shook the world began when Chris Rock stepped onto the stage during the 94th Academy Awards on March 27, 2022, to present Best Documentary Feature. He made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head, comparing her to Demi Moore in G.I. Jane. And many wondered at that moment why anyone would think that was funny, considering her condition. Jada's hair loss came from alopecia, an autoimmune disease that causes the body to attack its own hair follicles, and yet the audience laughed nervously at first, unsure how to react. Pinkett Smith appeared to chuckle initially, but then, almost instantly, she walked up to the stage and struck Rock across the face. People immediately asked themselves how someone who had spent decades building a calm, positive public image could respond so suddenly and violently on live television. The moment shocked everyone, and the room seemed frozen for just a second before reality hit. After returning to her seat, Pinkett Smith shouted profanity at Rock twice, demanding he keep her name out of his mouth. That raised another question in everyone's minds. Could this really be happening at what was supposed to be a glamorous, civilized awards ceremony? Rock, visibly flustered and trying to regain his composure, carried on with the presentation and awarded the documentary prize to Summer of Soul. But the joke, the slap, and the chaos completely overshadowed the celebration. Social media erupted almost instantly, and the incident became global news within hours. News anchors, commentators, and fans alike replayed the clip over and over, dissecting every angle, and everyone seemed to be asking the same question. How could a single moment derail what was supposed to be a night honoring artistry and achievement? The incident didn't just dominate headlines, it also called into question the so-called clean, polished image that Rock had maintained for years. Academy officials confirmed later that they asked Smith to leave the ceremony, but he refused, creating tension backstage. LAPD officers were on hand and prepared to arrest Smith on battery charges, but Rock declined to press any charges, leaving many to wonder if that decision reflected forgiveness, shock, or simple disbelief. The audience watched in stunned silence, and then, about 40 minutes later, Smith accepted the Best Actor award, receiving not one, but 2 standing ovations. That moment left people asking another question. Did the applause reflect admiration for his talent, or was it discomfort and shock transformed into polite clapping? During his speech, Smith apologized to the Academy and fellow nominees, yet he did not mention Rock at all until the following day. That decision sparked even more debate. Could a genuine apology omit the person directly affected, or was this just damage control? Some interpreted it as carefully calculated, while others saw it as an unsettling avoidance. Regardless, the incident did lasting damage to Smith's public reputation, turning a previously untouchable Hollywood image into one now tied forever to a moment of violence broadcast worldwide. Hollywood itself faced a reckoning in the aftermath. The Academy acted swiftly and banned Smith from attending any Academy events for 10 years, a move many considered long overdue. Critics, actors, and commentators weighed in, asking how the industry could allow such behavior on live television without serious consequence. Jim Carrey called the standing ovation that Smith received sickening and suggested Hollywood appeared spineless en masse, prompting reflection on the culture of enabling behavior for the sake of celebrity. Wanda Sykes described feeling physically ill and traumatized simply from witnessing the slap in person, and Amy Schumer admitted she remained triggered and emotionally affected days later. Their reactions highlighted an uncomfortable truth. Could so many people in an industry known for glamour and control really be unprepared for basic acts of civility and restraint? Meanwhile, Smith himself resigned from the Academy on April 1, 2022, admitting that his actions were shocking, painful, and inexcusable, words that seem to acknowledge wrongdoing without fully addressing the full scope of public response. People wondered if resignation alone could repair a reputation, or if Hollywood had changed too much for someone so publicly tied to an infamous moment. In the days following the incident, debates raged across media platforms, late-night talk shows, and social media, with many questioning the broader implications for Hollywood culture. Could a single act of violence, even by someone previously respected and beloved, expose deeper flaws in the way celebrity, accountability, and spectacle interact. Analysts discussed the apparent tension between personal conduct and public persona, noting how Pinkett Smith's attack directly contradicted decades of careful image cultivation. Critics argued that the willingness of audiences to cheer afterward reflected either discomfort, politeness, or complicity, prompting yet another question. What does it say about celebrity culture when applause follows violence, even in the form of awards recognition? Meanwhile, conversations about alopecia and empathy surfaced, asking why humor directed at a medical condition was acceptable at all, and why people seemed caught between laughing, cringing, and debating morality simultaneously. Was humor meant to challenge boundaries, or just to embarrass someone in a vulnerable moment? That question remained on many lips as the footage continued circulating online, inspiring memes, opinion pieces, and heated discussion months after the event. Even the Academy itself faced scrutiny, not just for handling the slap, but for the responses that followed. Officials, commentators, and fans wondered if a decade-long ban was sufficient or simply a symbolic gesture in a system built on appearances. Some called the punishment lenient, while others debated whether a lifetime ban would be fair, raising another question about proportional consequences. Should professional achievement ever outweigh personal misconduct, or should one always take precedence? Many argued that Hollywood's historic tendency to protect stars for the sake of box office success had created a culture in which behavior like this could be overlooked until a global incident forced accountability. The discussion spread beyond Hollywood, prompting questions about how society views power, celebrity, and the intersection of talent with personal responsibility. Could someone still be celebrated for their art while simultaneously being condemned for their actions? Or did one inevitably tarnish the other? The aftermath also revealed the emotional toll on those who witnessed the event. Wanda Sykes admitted to feeling physically ill. Amy Schumer reported lingering trauma, and many other industry insiders reflected on how the violence undermined a sense of safety and professionalism in a space meant to celebrate creativity. Could an awards ceremony ever feel entirely safe again, knowing that emotions and tempers could erupt in moments of unpredictability? Questions like this fueled further analysis of Hollywood's culture of optics, celebrity deference, and the balancing act between entertainment and accountability. Meanwhile, public opinion seemed sharply divided. Some defended Smith's actions as a protective reaction toward his spouse, while others condemned it outright, citing respect, law, and precedent. How could the public reconcile empathy for personal motives with condemnation for public conduct? That question remained unanswered for many, and debate continued well beyond the initial news cycle. Even beyond the ceremony, the incident sparked reflection on comedy and boundaries. Rock's joke about Pinkett Smith's hair and alopecia became a case study in ethics and timing. Many asked why a joke targeting a medical condition could seem acceptable to so many at the time, and whether comedians had an obligation to understand deeper contexts before taking aim. Could comedy ever exist without controversy, or was offense inevitable whenever public figures were involved? Discussions extended to live television as a format, the unpredictability of audience reactions, and how a single moment could overwhelm an entire production. The slap seemed almost symbolic, highlighting tensions between laughter, cruelty, respect, and societal expectations all at once. Ultimately, the incident became more than a headline. It became a lesson about celebrity, consequences, and cultural reflection. Questions hovered over every reaction. Could an individual be both talented and flawed in ways that mattered publicly? How should institutions like the Academy respond when moments of personal misconduct overshadow the event itself? What did the applause, the ban, the resignations, and the global conversation reveal about the values Hollywood really prioritized? Officials, fans, and media continued to analyze every angle, from the immediate shock to the long-term fallout, noting that the moment would be remembered not just as a viral clip, but as a turning point in conversations about accountability, empathy, and public behavior. People asked themselves over and over whether lessons had been learned, whether culture had shifted, and whether anyone could ever fully undo what had been broadcast live to millions around the globe. The incident, officials explained, had become impossible to ignore, impossible to forget, and impossible to separate from the image and career of everyone involved, leaving an entire industry and a global audience to reflect, question, and debate what respect, humor, and responsibility truly meant in modern celebrity life. Current reality check in 2026. Box office numbers really tell a story about Will Smith's career lately, and looking at Bad Boys, Ride or Die. The fourth installment of the franchise, the numbers are interesting. The movie opened in June 2024 with $56 million domestically and $104.6 million worldwide. That's a little below the previous Bad Boys movie, which debuted at $62.5 million, but still way above what the industry predicted, which was around $48 to $50 million. Can a movie underperform compared to its predecessor, but still feel like a win? Apparently, yes. In the end, Bad Boys 4 earned $193.57 million domestically and $210.95 million internationally, bringing the total worldwide haul to $404.52 million on a budget of just $100 million. That's more than enough to show the franchise still works. But at the same time, the bigger picture is more complicated. Before Bad Boys 4, Smith had been through a rough stretch. Films like Gemini Man and Spies in Disguise had struggled at the box office, and the memory of After Earth in 2013 still stings, opening at only $27 million against a $130 million budget. Can anyone recover that kind of blow in Hollywood? Apparently, coming back to a franchise that already works, like Bad Boys, was the safe move. It's like Smith retreated to familiar ground after several big-budget disasters. The story of his career isn't just about box office numbers, though. Streaming deals that once seemed promising started falling apart around the same time. Netflix, for example, put the brakes on Fast and Loose immediately after the Oscars incident. That's a huge project to pause, right? At the same time, Netflix canceled Bright 2, although sources insisted that one wasn't connected to the slap. Even bigger, both Netflix and Apple TV Plus dropped their bids for a Smith biopic based on his autobiography. Reports suggested that the platforms wanted to relocate the funds and develop original ideas from new black actors. That raises the question, how much of this was about reputation, and how much was just business strategy? Sony also initially shelved Bad Boys 4 before eventually greenlighting it, while Apple stayed quiet on Emancipation, which came out in 2022 to mixed reviews. It feels like the industry was cautious, maybe even hesitant to attach big projects to Smith for a while, even though he was clearly still capable of pulling in audiences. Smith's presence, or absence, at award shows told its own story. He remains banned from all Academy events until 2032, which is a long time. Can anyone imagine missing nearly a decade of Oscars? But he did make a tentative return at the 2025 Grammys, marking his first major award show appearance in almost 3 years. Performing to honor Quincy Jones, Smith seemed to signal a slow and careful re-entry into Hollywood's elite circles. Is it enough to repair the damage from that infamous night at the Oscars? Perhaps it's a start, though rebuilding public trust doesn't happen overnight. Comparisons to other celebrity comebacks put Smith's situation into perspective. Celebrity comeback expert Kelsey Kintner noted that Smith's huge likability before the Oscars incident is one of the main reasons he can make a comeback. But what does that really mean? Essentially, it suggests that people already liked him so much that there's room for redemption. Looking at other examples, Mel Gibson managed to rebuild his career after anti-Semitic remarks and domestic violence allegations, eventually directing Hacksaw Ridge, which was Oscar-nominated. Johnny Depp bounced back after his very public defamation trial with Amber Heard. Brand experts have pointed out that Smith has similar advantages: substantial financial resources, a long track record of goodwill with audiences, and the fact that he issued prompt apologies when the slap happened. Can those factors really outweigh a public scandal of this size? It seems so, especially when the projects chosen for his comeback, like Bad Boys 4, offer familiar, safe ground for audiences to reconnect with him. Taken together, all of this paints a picture of a career in recovery that is complicated but not hopeless. Bad box office runs and canceled streaming deals show the risks that linger after a high-profile misstep. Award show bans and the silence of certain studios show that Hollywood still has reservations. Yet, the success of Bad Boys 4, the return to a major award show, and comparisons to other celebrities who have bounced back suggest that a carefully managed comeback is possible. Can a single franchise really carry the weight of an entire career? Sometimes it can, especially when paired with strategic public appearances and a history of prior successes. Will Smith's story over these past few years shows that even after major setbacks, there is a way to navigate the industry and slowly regain momentum. But it also raises questions. How many missteps can a career survive before the audience moves on? And how much does public forgiveness really depend on previous goodwill? In Smith's case, it's becoming clear that a careful mix of smart career choices, a hard-earned reputation, and high-profile projects like Bad Boys 4 could be enough to keep him firmly in the spotlight. But the industry isn't making it easy. Everyone is watching, analyzing, and waiting. Will this momentum hold, or is there more turbulence ahead? Stick around, because what happens next could change everything. What happens next? So here's the thing with Smith and what's been going on lately, it's actually kind of wild when pieced together. After all the mess, he somehow managed to land this mega money deal with Paramount, which basically gives his company Westbrook the green light to develop these huge, big-budget films with him as the lead star. Think about that for a second. How often does someone hit rock bottom publicly and still get a studio saying, "Yeah, we're backing you with millions"? Well, part of it comes down to David Ellison, the owner of Paramount, who apparently has been a fan of Smith since grade school. So this isn't just some random deal. It's someone who literally grew up admiring him, putting faith in him. That's a huge vote of confidence, and it really sets the stage for Smith to try and redeem himself. Sources close to the situation even say he's delighted he's got this opportunity to redeem himself, and that he's hell-bent on not screwing it up. Can you imagine the kind of pressure that must create? From what people are saying, his approach now is ruthless. Some insiders claim he's cracking the whip on everyone around him, and isn't hesitating to cut anyone who won't match his level of intensity. That sounds intense, right? But maybe that's exactly what he thinks it's going to take. The studio's goal is simple: make blockbuster movies with him front and center. Action comedies, thrillers, sci-fi spectacles, the kinds of movies that originally made him a superstar. But can anyone really handle that kind of focus after such a public fall? Does sheer determination actually outweigh past mistakes when it comes to winning the public back? People seem to think it might, at least a little, if it's paired with results. Smith's been doing more than just hustling for big roles, though. After the incident, he apparently really threw himself into therapy, spiritual retreats, and anger management programs. That's a serious effort to work on himself, and it raises the question, can public figures really change when everyone's watching so closely? On top of that, there have been sexual harassment allegations from violinist Brian King Joseph, which complicates the whole picture, but Smith has firmly denied those claims. Even with all that, he's still moving forward with projects. For example, the sequel to I Am Legend is still in development, and insiders say it's part of a strategic move to get him back into blockbuster territory. It's like a calculated return, one that blends nostalgia with high stakes. Can audiences forgive but still buy tickets to the next big thing? That's the gamble. Industry experts weigh in on this kind of comeback, and it's actually fascinating. Reputation specialists insist that successful comebacks aren't just about money or big roles. Accountability, consistency, and authenticity are the real keys. People want to see acknowledgement of past mistakes, clear corrective action, and behavioral changes that last. That's the formula. And apparently, Smith has some advantages here. He had pre-existing goodwill in Hollywood and outside, and he made prompt apologies right after the incident. That puts him in the same kind of position as other celebrities who managed to rebuild their careers after serious public scandals. But it's still a question of execution. Can the public and industry insiders truly separate the mistakes from the talent? Or will lingering skepticism always hang over any future projects? That tension is what makes this story so compelling. What's interesting is the level of scrutiny that comes with each move he makes now. It's not just about producing a movie, it's about producing the right movie, sending the right messages, and proving that personal growth isn't just a PR stunt. Can someone really rebuild trust while in the spotlight? Or is it always half believed, half doubted? Reports suggest he's fully aware of that. People inside the industry claim he's taking the work very seriously, pushing himself and his team harder than ever. Maybe this is what it takes to overcome a career setback of this scale, a mix of talent, drive, and public accountability. So the whole situation feels like a test. Can a career rebound from public scandal with the right strategy, commitment to personal growth, and genuine effort to prove change? Smith seems determined to find out, and Paramount seems willing to bet on him. There's a lot riding on this. Every film, every public appearance, every interview contributes to the narrative. Can a well-planned comeback erase the mistakes? Or is there always going to be a shadow over the achievements? Only time will tell, but for now, Smith appears hell-bent on showing that he's not done, that redemption is possible, and that maybe, just maybe, it's still possible to reclaim the spotlight without repeating old mistakes. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.